What if I told you that the food you thought was helping you might actually be holding you back? For decades, we've been told to eat eggs for strength, to take pills for energy, and to accept that after 60, we're just not the same men anymore. But what if all of that was wrong? Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Hyman, MD. For over 30 years, I've worked with thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, men who felt tired, disconnected, and ashamed of how their bodies were changing. I've seen marriages strained, confidence shattered, and hope lost just because no one told them there was another way. My mission is simple: to help you restore your vitality naturally. No gimmicks, no shame, just real food, real science, and real results. Today, I want to tell you about one humble being often ignored, often misunderstood, that has been quietly transforming the lives of men just like you. It's not just food. It's a form of nourishment that touches every part of your manhood: blood flow, hormones, nerve function, and even size. This isn't theory. It's what I've seen with my own eyes. Like when my patient Charles, a retired history teacher from Ohio, came to me feeling invisible. He said, "Doc, I want to feel like myself again. I want to look at my wife and not feel ashamed." 3 weeks later, after one small change, his entire world shifted. In this video, I'm going to show you how that shift can happen for you, too. You'll learn what this one ingredient is, how it works inside your body, and why adding just one spoonful before bed might be the most powerful ritual you'll ever adopt. So, stick with me. You're not broken. You're not too late. And your best years, they're not behind you. They're waiting to be reclaimed. When Charles first came into my office, he looked like a man carrying the weight of silent disappointment. 67 years old, a retired teacher, and someone who'd spent a lifetime doing everything right. But now, his words cut through me. "Doc, I wake up in the morning and nothing happens. It's like my body has forgotten how." I've heard versions of this story hundreds of times. Most men think it's about desire, about age, or even about testosterone. But let me share something crucial that many doctors overlook. Erections begin with blood flow, period. And when that blood flow weakens, so does everything else. That's where this one underestimated food, soybeans, comes in. They're not just some vegetarian health fad. They're actually loaded with arginine, a key amino acid that your body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is like a green light for your blood vessels. It tells them to open wide, to flood your body with circulation, especially in the areas that matter most. Charles started adding just half a cup of cooked soybeans to his dinner. Nothing fancy, just steamed with a sprinkle of sea salt. Within 2 weeks, something changed. "Doc," he said, "I had a morning surprise I haven't seen in months." He grinned like a teenager, but it wasn't just a fluke. His blood was moving again. His body was waking up. You see, as we age, our vessels stiffen, our nitric oxide production drops, and the plumbing just doesn't work the way it used to. But this humble bean full of isoflavones and healthy plant compounds helps restore flexibility, reduce inflammation, and reignite that natural flow. And that's just the beginning. Because what Charles discovered next was something even more unexpected and far more personal. About 3 weeks into his new routine, Charles walked into my office with a strange mix of excitement and concern. He sat down, leaned in, and whispered, "Doc, I think I'm getting bigger now, Most men wouldn't complain about that. But Charles was genuinely puzzled. I thought shrinking was just part of getting older. He said, and honestly, that's what most men believe. Because the truth is, penile shrinkage. Yes, real physical loss of size is a silent fear that nearly every man over 60 carries, but rarely voices. What most don't realize is that this isn't just in your head as we age. Blood supply drops, testosterone declines, and the smooth muscle tissue inside the penis begins to weaken. That tissue needs oxygen and nutrients to stay firm and elastic. Without them, it begins to atrophy, leading to less size, less sensation, and less confidence. But soybeans, they do more than improve circulation. They're a complete plant-based protein powerhouse, delivering over 30 grams per cup. That's more than enough to feed and rebuild the muscle fibers that give your penis structure and strength. Combine that with their anti-inflammatory effects, and you've got a recipe for not just stopping shrinkage, but potentially reversing it. I had another patient, Mason, a 68-year-old former truck driver who added soybeans to his evening meals. After 3 weeks, he came back with a smile and said, "Doc, I don't know what's happening, but things feel fuller again." These weren't overnight miracles. They were the result of real nutrients, feeding a body that still wanted to thrive. If blood flow is the fuel line, then muscle tissue is the engine. And when both start working again, everything changes. But there's still one big question. What about testosterone? When I first mentioned soybeans to Adam, a 71-year-old retired construction manager, he raised an eyebrow. "Doc, I'm not looking to grow man boobs," he joked. That reaction is common. Thanks to decades of misinformation, many men believe soy lowers testosterone. But let me set the record straight. Science says otherwise. In fact, studies show that moderate soy consumption has no negative effect on testosterone levels in men. And in older men, especially those dealing with low energy, high inflammation, or insulin-resistant soy, may actually support healthy hormone balance. Here's why. First, soybeans are rich in magnesium and zinc, two essential minerals for testosterone production. Without them, your body simply can't make enough of the hormone that fuels your drive, confidence, and vitality. Second, soy may help reduce levels of sex hormone-binding globulin SHBG. That's the protein that traps your testosterone and makes it unavailable. Lower SHBG means more free testosterone, the kind that actually works. Adam decided to swap out his daily bacon and eggs breakfast for a soy smoothie, silken tofu, banana, almond milk, and a sprinkle of cinnamon. Simple, tasty, packed with fuel. Within a couple of weeks, he came back beaming. "Doc, I'm waking up with energy I forgot I had." And my wife noticed too. See, testosterone isn't just about being manly. It's about mood, motivation, and feeling like yourself again. And when your hormones are in sync, your body starts to remember how good it can feel. But it's not just about testosterone levels. What about those subtle signals, the sensitivity, the spark that many men quietly mourn? That's where the story gets even more interesting. One of the most heartbreaking things I hear in my office is, "Doc, I just don't feel anything anymore." That's what David, a 66-year-old retired music teacher, told me as he stared out the window. He wasn't talking about emotions. He meant physical sensation. That dullness, that quiet loss of connection between touch and pleasure. And believe me, he's not alone. As we age, many men experience a slow fade in sensitivity, not just in the bedroom, but even in daily life. What most don't realize is that this isn't just part of getting older. It's a sign of declining nerve function and weakened neurotransmitter activity. But here's where soybeans come in as silent heroes. Soybeans are loaded with B vitamins, especially B6 and folate, which are critical for nerve health. These nutrients help maintain the myelin sheath, the protective layer around your nerves that ensures clear, fast communication between your brain and your body. But the magic doesn't stop there. Soy also contains tyrosine, an amino acid your brain uses to create dopamine, the chemical of pleasure, drive, and connection. When dopamine goes up, so does your energy, your mood, and yes, your sensitivity. David took the leap. We added a simple soy snack to his day, roasted soy nuts in his trail mix, tofu with dinner. 3 weeks later, he came back glowing. "Doc," he said, "it's like someone flipped a switch. I'm not just going through the motions, I'm feeling it again. Her touch means something again." That kind of emotional and physical reawakening. That's what keeps me doing this work. And the truth is, when you restore sensation, you also rebuild intimacy. But what if I told you that same bean also supports the most critical muscle of all your heart? Let's go there next. When I first started practicing medicine, I used to treat heart health and sexual health as separate issues. But after decades of listening to men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, I discovered something unshakable. If your heart isn't strong, neither is your erection. It's that simple. That's exactly what I told Robert, a 72-year-old retired firefighter who came to see me after his second stent procedure. He said, "Doc, I survived a heart attack, but I feel like only half a man." And I understood. Because what most men don't realize is that the arteries leading to the penis are smaller and more sensitive than those to the heart. That means poor circulation shows up in the bedroom long before it lands you in the hospital. Here's where soybeans shine. They're not just good for blood flow. They actively protect your heart. Studies show that eating soy regularly can reduce LDL cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and reduce inflammation, the three biggest threats to heart and erectile health. Soy is rich in isoflavones, powerful plant compounds that help arteries stay flexible and clean. That means better circulation to your heart, your brain, and yes, your manhood. I had Robert start eating half a cup of edamame with lunch and adding tofu into his stir-fry at dinner. 6 weeks later, he walked into my office, sat down, and with a half smile said, "Doc, it's back." He didn't need to say what it was. I could see it in his face. Confidence, energy, life. And here's the kicker. He didn't change his meds, didn't join a gym, didn't take a pill. He just gave his body the fuel it needed. That's the kind of win I love. Now, I know you've probably heard that eggs are the perfect protein, but what if soybeans could actually do more? Let's compare next. Doc, I eat eggs every morning, scrambled, hard-boiled, poached. Isn't that enough to keep me strong? That's what Greg, a 68-year-old retired school superintendent, asked me the first time we met. Like many men, he believed eggs were the gold standard for male health. And look, eggs aren't bad. They're a solid source of protein. But when we start comparing their benefits to soybeans, especially for men over 60, the difference is night and day. Let's break it down. One large egg gives you about 6 grams of protein. A full cup of cooked soybeans. Over 31 grams, that's more than 5 eggs worth of protein in a single serving. And it's not just quantity, it's the quality that counts. Soy is a complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs, including arginine, the building block for nitric oxide, the key to blood vessel relaxation and firmer erections. But it doesn't stop there. Soybeans offer far more magnesium, critical for testosterone, nerve sensitivity, and muscle relaxation. They deliver 15 grams of fiber per cup. Eggs give you 0. That fiber helps reduce inflammation, balance hormones, and even nourish the gut bacteria that play a role in erectile health. And those isoflavones, they're powerful antioxidants that protect your arteries and reduce stiffness in blood vessels, something eggs simply can't do. After replacing just a few of his weekly egg breakfasts with soy smoothies or tofu scrambles, Greg came back to me and said, "I can't believe it. Doc, I thought eggs were everything, but this bean's the real deal." So no, you don't have to quit eggs, but if you're serious about your vitality, you should seriously consider adding soy to your plate. Next, I'll show you exactly how to do that without flipping your whole diet upside down. The most common question to get from men after learning about soy's benefits is, "Doc, how do I actually eat this stuff?" And believe me, I get it. You didn't grow up with soybeans on your plate. You grew up with bacon and eggs, burgers and fries. I had a patient, Dennis, 69, ex-Marine, who told me, "Doc, tofu scares me more than combat training." I laughed. Then I showed him how easy and actually enjoyable it could be. You don't need to become a vegan or spend hours in the kitchen. You just need a few simple swaps and a little creativity. Start with edamame, those bright green baby soybeans. Steam half a cup, sprinkle with sea salt, and you've got a protein-packed afternoon snack that tastes like popcorn. Or try adding silken tofu to your morning smoothie. Blend it with banana, cinnamon, and almond milk. It's creamy, satisfying, and your arteries will thank you. Want something heartier? Stir-fry firm tofu with garlic and broccoli. It soaks up flavor like a sponge and fuels your performance better than any steak. Or toss a handful of roasted soy nuts into your salad, or trail mix for a crunch that supports your manhood with every bite. Dennis started slow, just a few bites of tofu at dinner. Then, edamame as a snack within 3 weeks. He called me up, "Doc, I'm not just feeling better. I'm performing better." And the best part, he didn't change anything else, just added soy. So if you're thinking, "This all sounds good, but I'm too set in my ways," you're not. Trust me, your body is still listening. You just need to start speaking its language. And what happens when you do? Let me share a story next that will blow you away. Over the years, I've learned that food alone doesn't heal. It's the consistency that does. That's why I always tell my patients, one change done every day is better than 10 done once. And when that one change is adding soybeans, the results can be remarkable. Take Jerry, for example, a 67-year-old retired firefighter. Strong guy, disciplined. But when he came into my office, there was a quiet frustration behind his eyes. "Doc," he said, "I feel like I'm disappearing down there. I've done everything. Walking daily, eating clean, even cutting back on coffee. Still nothing." We ran the labs, Testosterone was low normal. Cholesterol was a little high. But the real issue, inflammation and poor circulation, both common in men his age. So I gave Jerry a simple assignment, half a cup of soybeans, twice a day, no pills, no new workouts, just soy. 3 weeks later, Jerry was back in my office with a grin I hadn't seen before. "Doc," he said, "I don't know if it's the beans or the hope, but I'm waking up ready. My wife noticed. I noticed. I feel like myself again." That's not magic. That's the body responding to fuel it actually recognizes. When you give it nutrients that support blood flow, hormone balance, and nerve health, all in one, humble bean transformation begins. Jerry's story isn't rare. I've seen it happen with dozens of men. Different lives, different struggles, same solution. But I also hear the concern, what if my stomach can't handle beans gas, bloating? It's real. That's why, in the next part, I'll show you exactly how to make soy work for your gut and your manhood without the side effects. One of the biggest objections I hear, even from men who want to try soybeans, is digestion. "Doc, beans destroy my gut." That's what Richard, a 70-year-old Navy vet, told me after just 2 days. His wife joked that if he kept eating soy, he'd be sleeping on the porch. I don't blame her. Gas, bloating, discomfort, they're enough to make any man toss in the towel before the real benefits can kick in. But the truth is, it's not the bean that's the problem. It's how you prepare it. So let me break it down. First, soak your soybeans overnight 8 to 12 hours in water with a pinch of baking soda. This reduces gas-producing compounds by up to 90%. Second, use a pressure cooker or instant pot. It softens the fiber and breaks down resistant starches, making the beans easier to digest. Third, and this is key, start slow. Don't jump into a full cup a day. Begin with 2 tablespoons. Let your gut microbiome adjust within a couple of weeks. Most men not only tolerate soy, they actually notice improved digestion overall. And here's a bonus. Cook your beans with a slice of fresh ginger, bay leaf, or cumin. These natural spices have been used for centuries in global cuisines to ease digestion and reduce bloating. Richard followed this exact routine. 3 weeks later, no more gas, no more complaints, and yes, he was still sleeping indoors, even better. He told me, "I feel better down there and in here," pointing to his gut. The key isn't to give up. The key is to give your body a chance to adapt, to heal, and to thrive. Next, I'll wrap it all up with the most important takeaway, why your best years might still be ahead of you, and how a humble bean can help get you there. After spending over 3 decades working with thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s, I've learned one thing that never changes: your body still wants to work for you. It doesn't give up easily. It just needs the right kind of support. And sometimes, that support comes in the form of something as simple and overlooked as a humble soybean. You see, I've watched men walk into my office carrying frustration, shame, and fear, thinking they've lost their edge, their intimacy, their identity. And I've also seen them walk out weeks later with a glimmer of hope, not because of a pill or a quick fix, but because they made a small, consistent choice to nourish their bodies with real food, the kind of food that supports blood flow, hormone balance, nerve sensitivity, and most importantly, confidence. Soybeans aren't magic, but they're real, they're natural, and they're powerful. I've seen them restore vitality in men who thought their best days were over. I've seen marriages rekindle, self-worth rebuild, and laughter return to homes where silence had taken root. So if you're standing at that crossroads, wondering whether it's too late, whether your time has passed, I want you to hear this loud and clear. It's not too late. You still have power, potential, and purpose. And sometimes, the journey back starts with just half a cup of beans. I'm Dr. Mark Hyman. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Don't forget to subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, your health, your confidence, your joy, they're all worth fighting for. One step at a time.